Hi guys, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. I do really simple crochet videos. Today we'll be doing a little bellflower charm, and these are the ones that you can hang on your dashboard or like from a bag. So I'll be using a worsted weight. So this is a medium size 4 yarn. I don't have the brand on this one. I believe I got it at a thrift store. And then you'll also need some scissors, a threading needle, and then today I am also using a 3mm crochet hook for this project. And this will be an amigurumi, so it's kind of a little bit different than a regular stitch, and I'll show you how to do that. So to start off, I'm going to start with a magic ring. You can just grab both sides of the yarn, and then I like to twist it towards myself, create an X, and then with this loose end of the yarn, you're going to put it through this space, and that'll give you your magic ring, and then you can just pull on the loose end to tighten. So I'm going to start with that. And then also the way I grab my yarn is a little bit different when I do amigurumi. Usually I thread around my pinky and I pull around my pointer finger for this one, and I put it towards myself. For amigurumi, you pretty much do the same thing with your pinky, and instead of pulling towards yourself, you're going to pull away, so towards the back, and that'll help you grab the yarn easier. So because you're going to pull over, if that makes sense. So for regular crochet, you put your hook under, but for amigurumi, you put your hook over. And then this is a single crochet, so I chained one, did one single crochet, and we're going to do 6 to start. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you're going to pull the loose end, close the magic ring, and then you'll be slip stitching into that very first stitch, this, and that's your first row. And then for your second row, you'll chain 1 and then put 2 into each stitch. 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and I'm done. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I need 2 more in this last one. And I have 12. And then I'm going to slip stitch into that top one here. And then chain 1. This is now, we're moving on to row 3. So for this row, I'm going to do 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around. So on this first one, I'll do 2. See, and I grabbed this the wrong way. So that's 2. This one's going to be 1, then 2 in the next one. 1, 2 here, 1 in the next one, 2 in the next one, 1 in the next one, through here. One in the next one. And then 2 in the next one. And then this is my last stitch, so 1. So the way you can make sure that you have the right amount is that if you in this first one you started with 2, and the last one you should end with the opposite. So at the beginning I started with 2, at the end I'm just ending with 1. So I'm going to slip stitch here. Like this. And then we'll be moving on to working this up. So for the next 5 rows, I'm going to do just single crochet. Chain 1. To start every row, you're always going to chain 1, and then you'll be moving up. So I'll do this first row, and then the next 3 rows or 4 rows, I'll let you work on your own. And then we can come back once we have the 5. And I feel like this is the part that goes the fastest for me, because I don't have to think about how many I'm putting into each one. I just go all the way around, 1 single crochet and slip stitch, chain 1, and then move on to the next row. This is the last stitch, and then we'll be slip stitching here. And then you can see that it's starting to make like a little bowl shape, and we can keep going. So like I said, I'm going to continue to work on these and up until you get to 5. So make sure you're counting the first 3. You're not counting the first 3, I'm sorry. So 1, 2, 3, and then 5 from there. So I should be adding 4 more rows here. So I'll meet you back once I'm done with those. Okay, so I'm just finishing this last row, and I'm slip stitching now into this very first stitch. Okay, and now we can start working on the petals of the tulip or the bellflower. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'll be skipping this very first chain here and double crocheting into this next chain. So next stitch. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over, double crochet, and I'll be doing 6 of those into this same space. 2, 3, 4. And it's kind of creating just like the scalloped edge, and it'll create some nice petals for it. So I'll be slip stitching into this next chain. So make sure you don't miss this. It's the next one right over. Like that. And then you'll be skipping this one and doing again 6 double crochets into this next stitch. So we're skipping this one here and going into this one. Okay, now I have my 6, again slip stitching into this next one, and then skipping the next one, going into this one. And 6, slip stitching here, and you can see that the petals are starting to form here. So if you fold it in half, it should be exactly 3, and then we'll be doing a total of 6. So again, skipping this next one, going into this one. And I'm going to go ahead and finish up these last 2 here, and then once I'm at the end of the last petal, I'll show you how to end the row. Okay, so I'm at the very last stitch here. I did my 6, and then I'm going to slip stitch into this last one, and that completes your row. And then I'll pull if I have some extra, and then I'll be grabbing this yarn from the inside of the next stitch. So I'm going into just the next one here, grabbing this yarn and pulling it in. And then at this point I can just leave a tail and cut off the yarn here. And then I can put this loose end through this loop to fasten this. And at this point I like to put this inside out and make sure my magic circle is tightened. And then I'll grab this end and just weave it down the side and tie it with this end. Like that. And then I can go ahead and tie this off. And I'll just do like 2, because then we'll be adding the stems. So make sure you don't tie this first one too tight. Just once, and then tie it again. And then this one is done. So I'm gonna leave it like this, inside out, because we'll need it like this to add the stems on. So I'm gonna go ahead and make another one of these, and then I'll meet you back here once that's done. So I just finished up the second flower, and I have both of these, and I'll be working now on the stems and the leaves for these. So I'm going to grab my green yarn. I have this from a leftover project, I'll just be using it. And to start off, we'll be doing a slip stitch. So a slip stitch is pretty much the exact opposite of a magic circle. You still make the X, but instead of pulling through the loose end, you'll pull through the working end. This. And now if you pull on the working yarn, which is the one attached to the ball of yarn, it'll make the loop smaller. So now you have that. And then you can chain 52. So make sure you have a pretty long tail, because you'll be using this to tie to this part. So I'll be chaining 52. Okay, so 51, 52. And then I will be cutting this yarn. Also leave a good amount of tail here. So maybe, and then I'll be just pulling this through to tighten. And then I'll be attaching the flowers here. So you can either do this two ways. You can add the leaves now, or you can attach the flowers and then add the leaves. I like to attach the flowers first. So I'm going to grab one of these bell charms and then push my hook through, grab one of these loose ends and pull that yarn through. And then make sure just like maybe one chain is sticking up, and then you'll just be tying these to that. So I like to, I think this one I didn't cut off. I'll just tie this maybe 2 or 3 times. One there, and then I'll tie one with the other one. And then I can go ahead and cut this off. And it doesn't have to be too close because you're gonna put this inside out anyway. So I'm just gonna push this. And now I have this attached stem. Okay. And then I'll be doing the same to the other one. Grabbing my other charm. Going through the middle, grabbing this loose end through, like this. Just make sure it pokes out a little bit, and then I can tie this off. And then the same with the other one. Like that. And then I can go ahead and cut this off. And then flip this over. So now I have this completed little charm. I just need to add the leaves. So I'm going to add the leaves in the 8th chain. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8 right here. I'll put my hook just to make sure I know where to go. And then I'll grab the green yarn, but make sure you have a good amount left once you pull this through. So I'm going to pull this one through, and then here I'll be chaining 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'll be doing a half double crochet in this one. Like that. And then I'll be doing a double crochet in the next. And then same in the next. And in the next one too. Double crochet. And then I'll be doing a half double crochet in this last one. And this will create half of my leaf. Make sure this is pulled tight. And then I will be slip stitching the other side. So this is why I was saying you might not want to attach the flower, but I just find it easier to visualize. I'm going to move this flower over to the other side. And then I'm going to be slip stitching into this side like this. And then we'll be working on this side of the flower, and then we'll also be attaching a chain here so that when you add the other petal, it can go through and attach. So I will do chain 8 here. 5, 6, 7, 8. And this you're just going to do on one side. The other side will just be the leaf, or the leaf. Okay, so I have this, and now I'm just going to create this loop here. So I'll slip stitch here. And now I have this little loop so that we can put the other leaf through. And then here I will do a half double crochet, and then a double crochet here, another double crochet, let me do that again, double crochet here, like that. And then I can do another one in this next space. And then the last one will be a half double crochet. This. And then the very last end, like just the tip of the leaf, we're just going to do a slip stitch. And then this is where we'll be cutting our yarn. So I just leave like a small tail for this one. And then pull this through. And that'll give you like this little leaf. And also this loop that you want to have for attaching the other side. So now I'm just going to flip this over and weave in my ends. Like this, and then I can cut this one off. And then I'll weave this one in too. This one I'll make sure to tie it since we didn't tie it at the beginning. I'll tie this. Make sure that's tight, and then I'll weave in the rest. And then I can tie, or I can cut this end off. And that should be one side of your leaf flower. It should look like this. So when you want it hanging, you want one side to have this flower on this side. And then to make sure that it comes out the right way, make sure that your chain is all facing the same way. I'm going to make sure this is facing the same way. And for this flower, I'll put the leaf on this side. So 2, 4, 6, 8. I'll put my hook through here. And make sure that we're doing now a leaf on this side. I'm going to pull this through. This. And then we'll do another chain of 6 here. 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll do the same thing that we did for the other one. So half double crochet, start, and then 3 double crochets. And then half double crochet in this one. And this loose end you want to pull to make this, make sure it's secure. And then you can do a slip stitch. Remember, we're going to flip onto the other side. So I'm just going to switch this. Then I'll do my slip stitch here. This. And this side we're not going to do that extra loop. So we can just do a half double crochet to this first chain. And then 3 double crochets to the next 3. And then the last stitch will be a half double crochet. This. And then the very last end will just be a slip stitch. And then we're done with our second leaf, and you can go ahead and cut off the yarn here. And we'll pull this through. And now we have our second leaf. So I'm just gonna go ahead and flip this over, weave in the ends. And then we'll be done with this one. Now I'm going to do this one, and I have to remember to make sure to tie this so it doesn't come loose. And then I will weave this through. That, and I can cut off here. And that's pretty much it. So now you have these 2 leaves done. You have this one with the loop, and then you have your other side, which should be facing the other way. And then you have your 2 little bell flowers. And then this one you can just put through here like this. So you can just fold this and pull it through. And it stays pretty well. I just like to push the leaves to fold so that you can see the good side. But this is pretty much it, and this is what you get. I'm gonna back up the camera a little bit, and this is what it should look like. So really cute. That you can put on your dash. And that's pretty much it, the completed project. It takes probably start to end maybe 30 to 40 minutes to make one of these, which isn't bad. And yeah, so this is the completed project. I hope you liked it, and please make sure you subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss another one of these videos, and I'll see you in the next one.